she was thinking about selling, but then she's like, I don't know. And now you've been on it 24/7 because you just have your eye on it.
I want that house.
Yeah.
I do.
It's a nice 2-unit.
If yours is like a unit per se, it's like part of an apartment building or apartment complex or something, don't compare that to a single family, even if it has the same amount of bedrooms and bathrooms.
No, we did the rehab. I mean, the upstairs unit, it was a 2-bedroom, but we were able to make it a 3-bedroom, so we did that. And then for the first unit, we went in, we had our contractor going there, we had our electrician going there. Me and my dad actually knocked the wall down. It was a pretty heavy wall because of
You
the
had a nail go
plaster.
through your foot?
Yeah, that was quite the experience because I stepped on a nail. It was like this big. It went in my foot. Worst pain ever, honestly. Welcome back to the Investor Unite podcast, where we talk all things real estate, business, and entrepreneurship.
If you are looking to ignite your real estate investing, then join us at Investors Unite.
And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about how you can buy your first rental property. We know we kind of gear a lot of our videos and a lot of our guests talk about more of the experience side of things, but we want to talk about things you can do as a new real estate investor, or if you're looking to become a real estate investor and acquire your first rental property to start getting some passive income.
Right, so we'll dive a little bit into our story. I know that we've talked about it in the past a little bit, just to touch base on it. But those were videos from like 6-8 months ago.
Yeah,
so
the quality was horrible.
It was horrible,
Yeah.
and we've learned a lot since then. But still being able to tell that story, and we have a bunch of new audience members that now listen as well. So you guys will be able to experience that. But yeah, we'll dive into a couple different strategies that you can use when trying to acquire your first rental property. Just different kinds of financing you can do, kind of what to look for, what to look out for. And yeah. So do you want to start it off? Do you want to use
what?
Oh, whatever shot.
All right, let's start it off with kind of like how you can go about finding rental properties, right?
Okay.
So there's multiple different ways. Number one, you can go through a wholesaler to get a discounted property.
Yep.
Number two, you can go on the MLS. Well, if you don't have the MLS, go through an agent, reach out to an agent, tell them what you're looking for, your criteria, and then, have that connection there.
For all the properties that are on the MLS, are they also listed on Zillow and then vice versa? Or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, typically not always though.
Okay.
So that's why it's probably best to reach out to an agent because they may see see properties that you may not be able to see on Zillow.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it depends. Like if you're looking for, honestly, if you're a new investor, you may not be looking for something crazy big, unless you have a lot of money like set aside and you want to purchase a 50 unit, then go for it, hire property management. But if you're new, you're probably looking for a 2 to 4 unit.
Well, you could even do a single family rental as well.
Or a single family.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it just all depends on your preference
Right.
what you want to do and how much money you have. So those are ways, and then you can also utilize just direct to seller if you want to go about it that way, where you can drive for dollars to find properties and then reach out to the property owner through skip tracing them on directskip.com. That's what we use, but we also use Deal Machine, and I actually got an affiliate with Deal Machine. So if you guys want to check out Deal Machine, I'll leave the link down below so you can get a good discount on it.
Yep. We do love Deal Machine.
Yeah, Deal Machine has been honestly the best for us.
Yeah. Honestly, out of all the platforms that we started using.
Yeah.
I've started with, I think.
We kind of
Deal
broke
Machine.
up with Propstream.
Not really. I mean, I still use it.
We still use it.
And she still got the affiliate for that too, so.
Yeah. I can put that down there. But honestly, Deal Machine has been a lot better right now than Propstream.
Yeah.
If we're being honest. Yeah, so.
You used like the word honest in the past 4 sentences.
Did I say that?
You said it 3 times and I said it once, like back to back. We gotta get some new terminology.
I know. Okay, so what we did.
So honestly,
I gotta rewatch that back.
Where were we going with this?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah, we gotta start doing podcasts in the morning when I'm like on it. So those are ways you can find property owners.
Right.
And
that might actually be a better option for a lot of people, especially if it's somebody who's just getting started and you might not have the biggest risk tolerance. You don't want to buy a property that's too far away.
Yeah.
You can just drive around your local neighborhood or whatever area you feel comfortable with and really try to pick out that property, even if it's not listed for sale, going through and, just getting in contact with that seller and making a fair offer on it. That's a great way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, you are been following up with the lady that my dad found a property for.
Yeah.
And she was thinking about selling, but then she's like, I don't know. And now you've been on it 24/7 because you just have your eye on it.
I want that house.
Yeah.
I do.
It's a nice 2-unit.
It
Yeah.
is. And she actually just, she moved down to Georgia, but she rented out
Okay.
the bottom unit, and they're on a year lease now.
Yeah.
So if I were to buy it, I can't really use a FHA.
As a house hack.
Right, as a house hack. Subject to is still an option, but I don't know if she's open to that. So
Which we'll get into, that stuff as well. But that's like
Right.
basically the main ways. And if you guys have questions, diving deeper, if we didn't touch on it, just comment them down below and we can make sure to answer it.
Yeah.
But number one, find that property. Like, you got to find the deal to be able to get the money for it, or however you're going about financing. But you can also, if you are going the traditional route, like through an agent, they're going to want to make sure you're pre-approved to see how much you can,
Yeah, they're not going to waste their time on somebody who is just dabbling their toe into it and they're not actually serious to take that step.
Yeah, so they want to see your purchasing power.
Right.
So you can get pre-approved with a local lender of yours, or your agent may have someone in mind that they may refer you to.
Yeah.
After you get pre-approved, start looking at properties, and you may be wondering, like, how do I know a property is a good investment? Like,
How do you
if
run
it's
numbers
this
on
price, if it's, if the rent is $900 for one unit, $1,000 for the other unit, like, how do I know something is good? If you want to
Right.
break it down.
Yeah, so I mean, there's like a general rule of thumb that all investors use, and it's just called the 1% rule, where typically, let's say you have a single family property, it's listed at $200,000, it's 3-bed, 2-bath, and you're able to rent it for $2,000 a month. That's typically 100%, 2,000 to 200,000. That's that 1%. So that's typically a good rule to use, but now.
No, you keep using typically.
Oh, really?
I think so. I
Oops,
don't know.
My bad. Yeah, but now with interest rates being higher, it's leaning more towards like you need to be towards that 1.5 to even 2% rule at this point. So
And honestly, like
honestly,
yeah, for us though, like I don't look at 1% rule.
I don't either.
Yeah.
All we really do is run it through a mortgage calculator. So we have a good idea of how much a property can be rented out for, whether it's single family, multifamily. Just look at the bedroom count, go to some of the comparable properties that are up for rent in the area, and you get a good gist of what you can go for. So knowing that information, then you would go ahead and stick the purchase price of the property into the mortgage calculator, estimate whatever your down payment is, whether you're doing 3.5, 5, 10, 20%.
Yeah.
And then from there, I mean, it'll just ask for a couple things like what interest rate are you expecting? And I know it fluctuates all the time, but as of right now, 7.5 for a residential property is probably about right. And then also some of the other expenses like taxes, insurance, you're going to want to include those into the mortgage calculator. And you can pick whatever term you want as well, whether you want to do a 15-year, 20-year, 30-year fixed rate. Variable rate, I wouldn't mess with too much.
No.
Because that can fluctuate either up or down in the future. So just stick with the fixed rates for now.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, I mean, it will spit out a number. And if your rental income is higher than that number, then typically that's a decent rental.
Yeah. And in regards, so that's more so like the running numbers with the rent side of things. Like, you're just looking at other properties that are renting, other comparables with rent. So if you see, if your one unit is 2-bedroom, 1-bath, look for other 2-bedroom, 1-bath rentals and compare like the condition and everything like that, the square footage as well.
And if yours is like a unit per se, it's like part of an apartment building or apartment complex or something, don't compare that to a single family, even if it has the same amount of bedrooms and bathrooms, just because being in a single family detached home with a yard is going to be a lot more desirable and is going to pay higher than somebody who's in an apartment building, even though the square footage, bed and bath could be about equivalent.
Yeah. And you also, so you not only want to just focus on the rental comparables, but you also want to focus on the property comparable itself, just because.
Just to make sure you're buying at a good price.
Yep. So anything below 4 units, they look at other properties, other comps, but anything 5 units and above, that's when you get into commercial, and they're looking at the value of the income the property's generating.
Correct. Yep.
So you want to make sure you're checking that out to make sure you're getting a good deal, because let's say you buy it and then you want to go and do the burst strategy. You go in there, you fix it up and everything, and then you go refinance out. You don't want to have to bring money to the table. You want to make sure the deal works out where you can walk away with some money in your pocket.
Yeah, or potentially even if you're going into this knowing that you are going to have to bring some money to the table to refinance it.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine too.
Just make sure that you already have those funds set aside whenever you're doing the purchase of the property, along with some reserves as well, just because you never know what expenses could pop up and completely just blow your budget out the water.
Yeah.
So just make sure you have a fair amount of reserves, which isn't something that we've done the best of. But,
yeah. Like, I don't even know, honestly, for our first rental, we bought a 2-unit. How much did we have in our account? I was thinking about that.
Probably nothing. We probably had that was in May?
May of last year.
We might have had like $5-7 grand.
Something small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably got a couple wholesale deals right before that.
I don't think so. I think it was just that and then the commercial one.
Maybe.
But I do want to talk about it was when you are looking at these properties, you also want to ask about the leases. Because if you buy a property and the rents are super low, but the leases are a year term and they just signed on, that's kind of going to screw your numbers with everything, because you want to make sure you're able to add value. For us, we like buying rental properties where we can add value. Maybe you may be different where you just want something turnkey, which you can buy that on the market too, where it's already brand new. It's already rehab.
Yeah, your financial situation, whether you have money to spend or if it's something that's going to be on a more limited budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
now, to go into like the financing options, do you want to explain how we bought our first property, just the type of financing we used, maybe what our term looked like, and how we went about that?
I found the lender actually through a friend. I was reaching out after we found the deal. So if we rewind a little bit, we found the deal from cold calling. Our VA cold called.
Direct to seller.
Yep, direct to seller. Got the lead. You went on the appointment.
Yep. We
did negotiations. The seller was at...
he was at where he said if he was going to list it on the market, he was going to list it for around $110,000. If he were to sell it off market, he was going to sell it for around $90,000, which at that point was still a pretty good discount.
Right.
But our initial idea was to wholesale it, so we kind of had a general idea of what number we would need to be at for that. But then Stefanie had actually went and pitched on, why don't we just keep the property?
Why don't we keep it?
Right, because it is a duplex, which is, brings in more cash flow.
Right.
And it was a pretty lower price point, and it's probably a good starter home for an investment property for us to start out with.
Yeah, because you said the condition wasn't even that bad. Like, honestly, we didn't have to do any repairs or stuff like that.
We didn't have to, but
we did.
Yeah, we still threw about, I think it was 17.
15, 17 into it.
Yeah.
But, after negotiations, we came to a set price with the seller. And then at that time, we didn't have private financing.
Right.
So that's, some people get a little scared about that. We just took that leap of faith.
So we'll figure it out.
Exactly. So I, started reaching out to a good amount of real estate investor friend of mine. And one guy actually 2 people gave me the same person's information, reached out to him, private money lender. He kind of went through like our financials, our background, like how we done deals before. I shared with him my YouTube channel. I think that helped him like be more comfortable and stuff. After that, he was like, all right, you guys are good to go. Sent him the deal. He looked through the deal, and then he was like, I'll do it for 11%. And I think it was 2 points or 2.5 points.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, maybe 2 points.
Almost the same thing.
So it honestly all worked out in regards to getting financing.
Yeah.
Literally network, like go to real estate investing meetups, make calls, go on Google, like just get your name out there and start talking to people. That's it.
Yeah, I completely agree. So we got it at 82,500, or was it just 82?
I think it was 82,500.
Okay. Either way. So we bought it at that price. Like Stefanie said, we threw about 15 to 17 into it. And then we had some holding costs as well. I think all in were about 20,000.
And we bought it completely vacant. So there's no tenants in place.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then what did we do from there? We started the refinance process? No,
we did the rehab. I mean, the upstairs unit, it was a 2-bedroom, but we were able to make it a 3-bedroom, so we did that. And then for the first unit, we went in, we had our contractor going there, we had our electrician going there. Me and my dad actually knocked the wall down. It was a pretty heavy wall because of the plaster.
Nail go through your foot?
Yeah, that was quite the experience because I stepped on a nail. It was like this big. It went in my foot. Worst pain ever, honestly. blood all through my
Honestly.
shoe. Had to yeah.
Sorry, okay, my bad.
I had to go to the hospital. I could barely walk. It was pretty bad.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, how long did the rehab on that project take for us?
Well, we started the end of May
We started about
or mid-June.
mid-June. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe beginning of August
Yeah.
to get done.
I think it was about right. It's like a little bit less than 2 months or so.
And then we found a tenant the end of August, but then she moved in September 15th. Yep. And in regards to finding a tenant, what we did was our main thing was, Section 8. So we reached out to Section 8 and we uploaded like our property information on their website. So we were on there, we were on Zillow, we were on Facebook Marketplace.
Yep.
And I think that was it.
I think so.
And for the application process, we actually use Stressa. We still use it to this day, honestly, to send out applications, see what a person's credit score is, see what their criminal history is.
Yep.
And it doesn't charge us anything, but it charges the tenant or the potential person, the renter, $40, and that's pretty much it. But,
Yeah, no, it's a good tool to use, especially if you are a newbie in real estate investor. You want to make sure that you do always vet your tenants, make sure they don't have any prior evictions or any major criminal felonies or offenses. Just overall good people. And this isn't a podcast about, how to vet your tenants, but so from there, we got it rented out, started the refinance process, and we ended up doing, quote unquote, an infinite BRRRR, is what they call it. So being able to pull 100% of our money back out, paying off our initial lender. And at the end of the day, I think we still walked away with like a $1,600 check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So nothing too crazy, but at the same time, that's how we acquired our first rental property for completely free.
Property. Yeah.
Right.
Completely free.
Completely free. Other than the software programs and the time that it took to acquire the property, all those overhead costs, but you don't want to really associate that with the property itself.
Yeah.
Some other options, so that's how we've actually done all of our properties. So,
through the BRRRR strategy.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can't really speak on experience from what the other options could be, but just based off of my general knowledge of real estate, I know that some other options could be, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac financing, whether you want to use a FHA loan or a conventional loan.
Yeah.
Or
that goes back to getting that pre-approval with the lender and everything like that.
Yep. Or DSCR is another option. Just a quick overview of what those are. So FHA is everyone thinks it's a first-time homebuyer loan. It is not. You can continue to use that as many times as you want, but you can only use it one at a time. You can't have two FHA loans open at the same time. Right. Conventional goes up to 10 actually, so you can have 10 conventional loans at one time. And then DSCR is more of strictly an investment loan. So that's something that you can have, as far as my knowledge, as many as you want when it comes to DSCR loans.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'd also say that the easiest way, like absolute easiest way to get started in real estate investing and owning your first rental property is through house hacking. I know it's a term and a concept that people talk about quite often.
Right.
And whenever you're scrolling through TikTok, you see a million of those investors talking about house hacking. So I won't go too in depth with it, but pretty much all it is you're buying a 2 to 4 unit property. Actually, let me rephrase that. It could be a single family, so one unit, up to a 4 unit property. You are living in one and renting out the remainder, whether it's 2, 3, or 4.
And then if it is a single family house, it's like you live in one room and just rent out the other rooms.
So that's a possibility. That's a rent by the room scenario. Or you could possibly rent out your basement. So kind of how your dad set up your house, where the upstairs is the main house, and then the basement he actually converted into like a little apartment.
Yep.
So it has its own separate kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, living room space. So you could go ahead and even rent that out.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that, I don't think there's any like legal things behind it as far as like they have to have their own exit outside of the property or entrance to the property or to their unit.
We're not going to say things too much of what we don't have experience with.
Right, exactly.
So take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, just different ideas though. You could do a possibly ADU, which is basically just another separate portion. You could add a tiny home in your backyard, rent that out.
Get one of them sheds from
Yeah,
Home Depot.
literally like 25.
Honestly, the township maybe like that gotta go. You know.
Possibly.
Yeah.
That's something you'd have to check with the township or the borough, whatever you live in. But yeah, those are all great ways to get started. Let's say that you have a house now and you don't know if you're going to enjoy having tenants and being a landlord. That's something you can do where it's like, okay, just rent out your basement, turn it into a little apartment, rent that out, see how it goes. You know,
Yeah.
gain some experience. You're going to gain a good understanding of what issues may arise or pop up. You're going to understand the screening process of the tenants, finding those tenants. You might even learn the eviction process.
Yeah.
You know, knock on wood you don't, but it's something that everyone probably is going to go through at some point.
And if you want to start small, I remember this guy, we met at a meetup a little while ago. He was telling me, so he lives at his house, and in the basement, he rented out Airbnb. And he just tried it for the first couple of months, and he was like, this was the best decision I ever did.
Oh, yeah.
And he made sure to, like, have it where they can't come upstairs, like, all the doors are locked and everything like that. But I want to say his first month was, like, either $6,000 or $9,000, something crazy.
Was that around here?
Yeah, Harrisburg. Just because a lot of people would come for Hershey Park and stuff. And it's, you know, right there, 15 minutes
We
or
have
so.
like concerts and stuff all the time out here.
Yeah.
That's a great area to do Airbnb,
So,
which Hershey actually just eliminated Airbnb from being a option now, which all the ones that are already there.
Even if it's grandfather?
No, the grandfather ones are
those
still
are
good.
fine. Okay.
Yeah, so if it was already an Airbnb before they came out with this rule, you're still good.
Yeah.
But now you can't do an Airbnb.
Yeah, so like if you want to get your toes wet before getting an actual tenant, you could definitely try Airbnb, see how it is, and then
Yeah, that's a little bit more extreme than just having a regular tenant.
it is different. It is. Yeah.
It is. That's more of a job, I
Right.
would say. Versus
It's like a hotel. You're basically managing.
right, versus a long-term tenant. Also, so as far as house hacking goes, let's say that you're looking to buy your first home and you want to do the house hack scenario. You're looking for a 2 to 4 unit. Even if you go ahead and you buy a property, right? Let's say that it's not cash flowing. Let's say you're actually losing like $400 a month.
Yeah.
Technically, you still have a place to live where you're not paying. Let's say you're in a 2-bed, 1-bath, or something small for yourself and a partner, maybe a dog. And let's say that the general rent for that in your area would be like $1,200, right? Realistically, if you own this entire property, sure, you might be losing $400 a month, but realistically, you're making $800 by not paying rent at another property,
Right.
along with gaining the equity in the property that your tenants are paying down. And then there's other benefits that come along with it too.
Yeah.
But house hacking is by far the best way to get started. If you do have, you're a little bit nervous about getting started and owning your first rental property. So
I think it's something where even like when we got our first wholesale deal, like once you see that check, it's like, all right, it's the proof of concept. So once you get that first property, then it becomes so much easier.
yeah,
Honestly, like it's crazy because the people we knew, like investors and stuff, they didn't tell us to buy this property. I swear it was like the Holy Spirit of like, let's just buy it. Because I typically wouldn't say that. We would have just, wholesaled it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Holy Spirit.
And then what else? Just kind of touching base on the loans again. I had mentioned you can't have more than one FHA loan open at a time. But what you can do is you buy this property using FHA. It's 3.5% down. And then also when acquiring these properties, depending on how hot your market is at the time and where this property is listed price-wise, you could always ask for seller's assistance even.
Right.
Because outside of that 3.5% down payment, you're also going to have closing costs as well, which can range typically 2 to 4%, somewhere in there. But you can ask for up to 6% of seller's assistance. So what that is 6% of the purchase price of the property. A lot of sellers won't do that depends on
the market,
Depends on the
timing,
market.
and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's another, negotiation tactic.
Yeah.
You could pitch to your realtor, so they can go ahead try and negotiate that for you. Could possibly eliminate your entire down payment.
Yeah.
Just have a little bit of closing costs remaining.
Now,
So-
I want to talk about like inspections. So this is something we actually don't do. we're the inspectors,
Our contractors are the inspectors.
But for our first property, we didn't have a contractor walk it. We just thought we
No,
knew
we
what we
didn't.
were doing.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so the only time we got an inspection was for our 5-unit. And it wasn't even a full-on inspection. It was just a sewage line inspection, and that was it. So I feel like as you do more real estate, you kind of know the gist of everything. Like, if the furnace has some rust on it, all right, it's old, it's dated, but you can tell if something looks new.
Right.
But we do look at dates and stuff and make sure to ask the proper questions to the sellers.
I thought you were bringing up inspections when it comes time to getting the approval for these properties. So
what, for like on market, or?
It could be on market or off market. Just going with the typical, like, let's say you are using that FHA.
You don't need to, though.
Guidelines. No, you don't need to.
But, no. I mean, if you are using a government loan, they don't inquire you to get an inspection. Now, a VA loan does inquire a termite inspection. But the only thing that they're going to look for is, the appraiser is going to be a little bit more strict in regards to the property you're looking at.
Right. Yeah, because FHA, from what I've heard, I don't necessarily know because I haven't done it, but they're pretty strict actually when it comes to checking or the condition of the property before purchasing.
They're strict. Yeah,
right. So
any government loans are going to be strict.
Yeah, exactly. But there's another option that comes. It's called a FHA 203K loan. It's basically the same thing as a FHA loan, but also with a rehab mixed into the mix. Mixed into the mix. That's interesting. So what that is let's say you are going to buy this multifamily property. You got pre-approved for $250,000.
Yeah.
And then you see, it's a nice little 3-unit or so, but the property needs work. So it's at a great price. Let's say that it's worth, $100,000. No, that's not enough. Let's say it's worth $350 once it's done. Okay. It needs, $50K worth of rehab, we'll say. So with the FHA loan, they'll go ahead, they'll purchase you can purchase the property, and then they will actually send their appraisers, and they're going to vet your contractors that you want to use for the rehab of this property. They're going to have people come out every week or so.
Just to inspect it, make sure the work's getting done.
Exactly. And then they'll just give you draws based on that up to that agreed amount budget. So let's say you go ahead, you want to purchase it for $250. They do their inspection, everything. They say that the total rehab of this property is going to cost $50,000. So realistically, your loan amount is $300,000. But they know that at the end of the day, it's going to be worth $350 once it's completely done. So it could pass any kind of debt to income ratio when going through and purchasing this property. So that's another option you can do, especially if it needs some work. Could be a better option. And then let's say the following year you want to do the same thing again. What you have to do is refinance out of that FHA loan into either a conventional or a DSCR loan. Like I said, you can have 10 conventionals, but can't go over that. So then you could do DSCR. And as soon as you have that loan now into a DSCR loan or converted to a DSCR loan, then you can go ahead and just repeat the entire process again of using an FHA loan.
But with DSCR, it needs to be rented out just so the income.
Exactly, yeah. So you would, to purchase it, use the FHA method. But then when it comes time for refi, obviously make sure that, it's in good condition. Make sure that you have all the units rented out. You have good income coming in, hopefully market value if you can. And then that's when you can convert it to a DSCR or conventional.
And guys, don't listen to us when it comes to the inspection things, because I don't want you
I
to
recommend
go out.
everybody gets an inspection.
Yeah.
Fully recommend it.
You should definitely get one. We just...
Shopping on a budget.
Yeah, knock on wood, or,
That's not wood.
If we feel like we need one, then we definitely will. We actually were blessed with the 5-unit because we did not know what the roof looked like until Nate did a drone footage after we bought it a couple weeks later or whatever.
Well, that's actually after we rehabbed the outside of it already.
Yeah.
After we did the whole painting and everything.
3 months later, then we knew what the roof looked like, and
we did have
it was in good condition.
We did have a bad gutter that fell off at the one point, but we got that fixed.
Yeah, something small though.
Yeah, not a big deal. So we got lucky with that.
Yeah.
And then what else? Just to dive into loans a little more. I enjoy this topic a lot.
Yeah, he likes loans.
I do.
Yeah.
I like knowing all the different kinds. For FHA loan, some of the requirements will be, so FHA will surprisingly go as low as a 500 credit score.
They lowered it? I thought it was 580.
It used to be 580.
Oh, shoot. That's how you know I don't work with buyers anymore.
So anywhere between a 500 to a 579,
yeah,
you're still able to do FHA, but you have to have 10% down. So 10% down versus the 3.5. As soon
Yeah.
as you're at that 580 mark or higher, that's when you can do 3.5% down.
And just know, the lower your credit score, the higher your rate's going to be.
Yeah, your interest rate. So be wary of that.
Yeah.
What else?
I think we kind of touched the surface level of like buying your first rental property.
Yeah.
And then just repeat the process if you want more.
Is there any other methods I'm not thinking of? I mean, there's seller financing subject to, but those are something that's a little bit, well, we could go ahead and do seller finance a little bit. Subject to is a little tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to explain seller finance?
Yeah, so seller financing is basically when the seller becomes your bank. So typically for the traditional route, if you want to go that way, you go to a bank, you get a loan, or a mortgage lender, get a loan. But in this case, you would go to the seller, and the seller would hold that financing, where you can negotiate that down payment, whether you have a down payment or not, negotiate that interest rate, whether you have that or not, and then your principal payment, years of, how long the term's going to be. So it's so much, it's a lot better because the bank term, so right now you're saying around like 7%, 7%.
7.5 probably.
You could negotiate with a seller. Let's do 4%.
3%, 4%.
Yeah.
You can do absolutely zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a common theme that I've seen in the past is from one family member to the next. Where it's like a dad wants to sell his property, his son's looking to purchase a property. They'll go through and sometimes do like a seller finance deal where the house is paid off and the son's like, okay, well, I can pay this much per month. They will go ahead and kind of work out some terms around his budget. So then the son eventually will actually acquire this property and the dad's still getting paid on a monthly basis. Now they can go ahead and negotiate if there's a down payment or anything else of the sort, interest rates,
And the same thing would go, just how we ran numbers on a regular property, you would run numbers the same way, where you want to see what's the rent comparables, what's the property comparables as well.
What are some like unexpected expenses that you might have? Like when owning these rental properties, just like things that will pop up.
I mean, you got all utilities, you got trash, water, sewer, gas, electric, snow, lawn.
Yeah. A lot of times, I mean, if you own like a apartment building of some sort, you're going to want to have some kind of security footage.
Common areas.
Security cameras. Yep. So you'll go ahead and have to pay like a monthly fee for those typically. It's a bunch of things you have to just factor in. And things break all the time.
Yeah.
Like you might have a door handle just rip off one day. It's like, okay, well, there's, $30 cash
Or
flow.
floors just ripped up,
Or floors get torn,
weekly basis.
torn
or
up on a
something.
weekly basis.
Yeah.
And, tenants, they like to not tell the full truth sometimes. So,
Or trash just thrown out the windows.
trash thrown out the windows.
Yeah.
We've seen it all. Yeah, landscaping, snow removal, that's a good topic to bring up as well.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I mean, a lot of that work you can do yourself, especially if the rental or your investment property is within a close proximity.
And that's what we do. We do a lot of the work ourselves. And it just popped in my head when we were trying to get that darn stove up the stairs. And we literally almost, we would have been done. You would have been.
I was on that
The
box.
stove was about to tumble you
Holding
over.
that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so surprised that thing didn't fall apart.
I think we dented the wall or something like that. I don't know. We ruined our paint. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Still got to get that unit rented out.
I know. Didn't have a dolly, so we were like, nah, we're already here. Might as well go for it. Ended up taking that thing back.
There's a couple dollies at the warehouse. I was thinking about grabbing one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just so we have it. Put it like Wiccanesco Street basement or something.
You just gotta ask her.
Yeah, just ask her. It could be a little scary, right? Buying your first investment property. You don't know.
I don't think it was scary, but also we did have the help of Rob. Rob definitely helped.
Yeah, I mean, get some.
Mentor.
Yeah,
And
a
Dom
mentor.
too. Yeah.
And if you have something that you think is a good rental property, take it to some other investors and be like, hey, I thought about doing this. Like, what do you think? It's a good idea.
Go to the meetups.
Go to the meetups.
Right.
Hit up your local Facebook groups. Sign up for Bigger Pockets Pro.
There you go.
Anything.
You're
honestly.
not. Are you a member?
No.
Yeah.
I really want to be, but it's like $400 a year. I ain't got that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. It's not too bad for annually, but one day. don't always listen to your realtor, because a lot of times your realtor won't own their own investment properties. So they might find something that they think is a good deal.
Get an investor-friendly realtor.
Investor-friendly realtor. And Bigger Pockets actually has a free thing for that, where you can go through and, you know, ask for all the investor-friendly realtors in your area. And the only way that they're capable of being on that list if they actually went through and signed up themselves. And if they are watching Bigger Pockets, then
they're more likely have some knowledge.
They have some knowledge of investment.
But ask them if they have any properties.
Right. That's something you want to look for.
We can talk about self-managing versus property management.
Yeah, we can touch base on that, actually.
Yeah, so we focus on self-managing, number one, because we don't want to pay 8 to 10% of our cash flow, because that's a big chunk. Mm-hmm. We want more money in our pocket. And with our properties, we keep them local, so we can just drive up just in case anybody needs us, or if we have to do any repairs or anything like that. Now, if you are looking to do properties out of state, that's when property management is going to have to come into play, unless you have like family members or something like that in that state where you can kind of trust them. But
what's your thoughts on renting out to friends and family?
Yeah, that's a no-go.
It's a no-go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. If you're just starting out, yeah, it's probably a no-go, because, you know, friends and family, like, you love them and everything, but they could screw you over as well. And it's a little bit harder to hold them liable for their mistakes versus if it's a complete stranger that you're just letting.
Because people don't like having the tough conversations.
Exactly.
So might as well just eliminate that from the jump.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, if you're new.
Dude, my brain is dead today.
If you're new, definitely, I recommend doing self-management just so you can see how it is. You're going to care about the property more than the property management company is going to. It's good to learn the process. And then eventually, if you want to hire someone just to manage, just like one person that's not with a property management company, you can do that and you can train them on those parts and have your own payment structure with them. Yeah, that's what I recommend.
And we're so all over the place in this podcast, but I also just wanted to mention, so we talked about how to kind of buy these first rental properties without $0. Well, not zero, but a low down payment or low entry fee, you could say. But let's say that it is someone who is in their 40s, they've had this W-2 job for a long time, and they know that investing is a good idea, they just never took that step into doing it, but now they're in like a comfortable place to do so. How would you recommend that they start out? Where they have a good chunk of money set aside, do you think they should go and buy a property completely outright, pay all cash, and just have that monthly cash flow coming in? Or do you think maybe just a larger down payment and a lower monthly payment? Or
it depends.
Turnkey rehab property?
Depends on their risk, depends on their life, because they could honestly just put their money towards a syndication, just like Jeff was telling us about. If you didn't check out Jeff's episode, I forget what it's titled. Something about syndications.
Which Jeff are we talking about? Oh,
Jeff Allen. Yeah,
he did talk about that. And then same thing, like if you have a large 401k set up, like even if you don't have that money just set in your account, your return on a 401k is going to be substantially lower than if you go ahead and buy a good investment property, a good deal. And then also when you get paid on that monthly basis, it's kind of like dividends in the stock market. You know? Yeah. I think dividends are only paid out quarterly typically. But this is monthly. So
yeah, and you do also want to make sure you're setting money aside for taxes as well.
Yeah.
We're supposed to do...
We're good. Anyways.
we won't talk about that. Talk to your tax professional in regards
CPAs,
to that. Yeah.
You want to...
But I think we hit it all, you know? I think we're going to end it there. If you guys have any questions, comment down below. We honestly, we don't know what we're doing.
We're supposed to have a guest today, and that's kind of what really threw us off. We heard last minute that they weren't coming, so we kind of had to come up with a topic last second.
But the crazy thing is we really don't know what we're doing, and we're at 14 doors.
No, we know what we're doing. I know how to analyze a deal.
No, we know that, but
when it comes to talking about it, it's different. I can go through and explain to a friend one certain concept, but when you're trying to break down the entire structure of owning your first couple rental properties, that's when it gets a little confusing. I feel as though you're bouncing around all over the place.
Yeah.
And it'd be a lot easier if we had kind of a structured, laid out script to go off of.
From the jump, we took that leap of faith.
Yeah, no, we completely did.
And we went for it.
We are young, so that's might be another reason why we're so...
Our risk tolerance is
we're so willing to just try shit.
Yeah.
Versus
It's
if you
low.
are 40 years old, don't go dump like your entire life savings into a property and hope for the best.
Wait, our risk tolerances, would it be low? It would be low.
No, our risk tolerance is
It's high. It's high. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
high. Yeah.
See, I need coffee or something.
You already had what, 2 cups of this?
I know.
Sorry, I'm chugging an energy drink back here.
All right. Hope you guys enjoy. Comment down
I know
below
this
any
one's a little
questions or
different,
anything
but-
like that. Go subscribe on YouTube. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, yo, you guys, you love the what's that guy's name?
Who?
Fuck.
Which one?
Nico, bro.
Oh yeah.
You guys
Nico
really like
Del
the Nico
Joino. Del Joino.
Del Giorno pizza.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
This is getting
Yeah,
bad.
we'll catch you guys.
I'm gonna go back to work. Have a good one, yeah.
Yeah, go subscribe. Wait. What is it? Listen on Spotify and Apple too.
Yeah, Spotify, Apple.
You
We're
follow on there. You don't subscribe on there.
Right. We're on TikTok, Instagram too, so go check those out. It's just a
Yeah.
bunch of our clips from every episode. Hopefully good pieces of knowledge in there somewhere.
But with that being said, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.